Hello and welcome back to Holt Hanley Weather. Today we'll be looking at the national weekend forecast. Let's get started. Alright, in this video we're going to start by looking at what the temperatures are going to be doing for the West Coast and then the East Coast. Then we're going to look at a national overview of where precipitation is going to occur on Saturday and Sunday. And then we're actually going to dive in region by region to see where the precipitation is occurring and at what rate. So without further ado, let's get started. Here we're looking at the West Coast, and you see there's a pretty good blob of Arctic air over much of Utah, Idaho, parts of western Wyoming. And this is Saturday morning that we're looking at. Moving into Saturday night, you see not much changes. That Arctic air moves a little bit off to the right, but still warm temperatures in Oregon. Even northern Washington is getting all the way up to 46 degrees in Seattle, whereas Salt Lake City is right on that freezing line, about 32 degrees. And an interesting thing to look at is Montana right now. Great Falls, 35 degrees. This is Saturday night. Typically, at this time of winter for Montana, that should be like 0 to -10. 35 degrees. I was talking to my one friend up there. He said he's wearing shorts right now. It's that warm in Montana. So moving forward into Sunday morning, see that Arctic air actually pulls down a little bit. Albuquerque, all the way in New Mexico, 30 degrees. Looking at Rapid City in South Dakota, 32 degrees. Whereas San Jose, nice and sunny, 53 degrees. Gotta love that. And Sunday night, final one for the West Coast. Kind of more of the same stuff. You see some stronger winds starting to build up on the western side of Washington. Let's go over to the East Coast and back to Saturday morning. See that low pressure system right above the Great Lakes. That's the interesting feature going on. It's a little more interesting than the West Coast was. And what is happening is that counterclockwise motion is really driving the temperatures for the entire eastern portion of the United States. Here on this map you see on the western side of the low, that's where you're going to get those southerly winds bringing that cold Arctic air south. And you can see that Rapid City, or let's look at Kansas City, 23 degrees. That's a good one. Mitchell in South Dakota, 12 degrees. And then if you look on the other side of the low where that warm air is getting pulled up from the northerly winds, you can see Detroit, which should normally be much colder this time of year, 35 degrees. Pretty nice. And Washington, D.C. I don't know if I'm seeing this right, but it says 52 degrees. That is way warmer than is typical for this time of year. And again, it's because of that low pressure system where it is, and it's bringing up that warm air as well as air off of the warm Gulf Stream, as you can see. Moving into Saturday night, that low pressure system moves up to the northeast, so that cold air is going to go with it. And parts of Texas, pretty warm, 52 degrees in Dallas. Looking at Sunday morning, that low pressure system continues to move north, so the cold air moves north with it. Something interesting to look at is how warm the Northeast is. Parts of Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, they're all in the green, which should be about 40 to 50 degrees. And that's why that snowstorm that I was forecasting at the beginning of this week, where if you remember I was saying could be 20 inches of snow, 24 inches of snow. And then yesterday I made an updated video saying it's going to be more like 6 to 8 as a maximum snowfall in the highest elevation. And the reason for that, you can see a lot better on Saturday night. That's when the bulk of that storm is hitting. These strong winds coming off that warm Gulf current, bringing in really warm temperatures into Massachusetts and lower New Hampshire. So Alice in southern New Hampshire, who has just recently joined my weather community, you're going to have pretty warm temperatures throughout Saturday and parts of Sunday until that low moves off and then that cold air starts to fill in behind it. Moving forward to Sunday night, you can see that low pressure system has moved off into Maine, so then that's when those cold temperatures can start to move in behind it. Remember, it's the southerly winds that bring down that cold air from the north. So Lowell 35 degrees and New York 41 degrees, which is still above freezing. So it'll be interesting to see what the snow models are doing. They maybe have gone even lower from that 6 to 8 that I was talking about yesterday. So just a brief overview of what the precipitation is going to look like for the entire country. This is starting on Saturday morning. You can see western Washington, western Oregon, northern California. Rain is likely with a wintry mix in parts of eastern Oregon and a little bit in Idaho and Wyoming. The real action is happening on the East Coast, where that low pressure system sitting right by the Great Lakes, and it's a perfect example of what those temperatures do around a low pressure system that I've been talking about so much in this video. Hopefully you're learning something. On that low pressure system where those counterclockwise winds happen, you can see the snow on the entire west side and then rain on the entire east side. And the interesting thing here is that the entire northeast is basically just rain and some ice. Pushing forward into Saturday night, see more rain for the northwest, little less snow for the Great Lakes, and even more rain for the northeast. Rain would be likely in Pennsylvania and New York. And last but not least, let's take a look at our Sunday morning, and then we'll do Sunday night. Sunday morning, again, rain on the northwest. You can see that low pressure system right there, and that warm front is really going to drive up those rain numbers. What happens? The warm air comes in, rises, creates clouds, storms, lots of rain. Something else, we see some rain start to kick up in parts of Texas. There's some water vapor pulling off of the Gulf, and that's really going to bring in some moist air with that warm front right there, rising air. Going to get some rain in the area. As you can see, Great Lakes, possibility of some snow at this time, but mostly a wintry mix in New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut. Rain is likely. No longer even showing snow, and this is Sunday morning. So now let's go to Sunday night. Click through. Parts of the south getting some rain. Pretty decent amount of snow in Idaho, Utah, even parts of northeastern Nevada, and a little bit from Montana, which is starting to look a little more typical for what it should be this time of year. And you finally start to see, this is Sunday night, you finally start to see that snow coming into the northeast. So now let's look at it region by region. This is starting on Saturday morning for the northwest. Little rain here and there. Little bit of snow up in northern Idaho. Mostly rain along the coasts of Washington and Oregon. And moving into Sunday, that's when the big rainstorm starts to come in with that low pressure system. And Sunday night, some snow in Idaho. Now let's take a look at the Midwest around the Great Lakes. Gonna start this on Friday night actually, and that's because that's when that low pressure system is right above you. See some areas of snow, wintry mix, and then a rain a little farther east. Then looking at Saturday morning, that's when that western side of the low is gonna bring in that cold air, and you're gonna get snow in parts of Illinois, Indiana, and even Wisconsin as well. Moving forward, kind of smaller numbers, but still a little bit of something. And Sunday morning, little snow in parts of Idaho, Indiana. Yeah, a little bit. No, not Idaho. I knew I messed up right there. You could see me thinking, Idaho is way on the other side of the country. I meant to say Indiana. Sorry about that. Alright, that's enough for the Midwest, because obviously not going too well on that one. Alright, recovery. Looking at the northeast, we've got some rain coming in on Saturday morning. That's when that storm is going to start. Remember, those temperatures are a little warmer because of that wind coming off that warm ocean. And you see basically all the precipitation is coming in the form of rain, a little bit of wintry mix, some ice in New York. Much less snow than we were seeing earlier in the week. At this time, earlier in the week, the entire Northeast was covered in snow. Now it's just showing that rain's going to be moving in. Here you see parts of Connecticut and Massachusetts, especially the western portions, are going to be getting really strong rainfall. And then parts of eastern New York are going to see that strong, heavy, wintry mix. Vermont and New Hampshire, it's kind of the lighter colors, so that indicates kind of more minimal numbers. And looking at, let's fast forward into Sunday night. Some snow in northern New York, but still not too much. And then later that night, basically all of New York could be getting some snow, but again, much less than I was originally anticipating. So let's take a look at the snowfall totals for this northeast storm that I've talked so much about. 1.2, oh man, it's almost sad to look at these. For all you snow lovers out there, it has really ended up being just a dud of a storm. I don't know what happened with the models. I think they weren't expecting as much wind off the warm ocean as we ended up seeing, because at this time, this is Sunday morning. At this time 3 days ago, the entire Northeast was covered in snow, and there were areas showing 20, 24 inches. Now, oh man, what's the highest we can find? At 4.5 in New Hampshire, maybe a 4 in New York. Oh, let's look at Sunday night. Okay, we end up getting a 6.5 in New York, so a 2.3 in western Pennsylvania, 7.5 in New Hampshire. That's alright, but it's even gone farther down from what I was forecasting yesterday. So if these trends continue, it might end up being a 4-inch snowfall total in the highest elevation places. So my apologies for hyping it up early in the week. Next time I will take that into mind, and I will make sure to let everyone know that it's still early in the forecast period, so the numbers are going to change a lot. I got all excited seeing the 24 inches, but oh man, looking at 6s and 7s now. About a third of what was originally expected. So, if you are excited about there not being as much snow, maybe you're like me, you like fair weather, or if you're sad about that 20-inch snowstorm that was so overhyped, no longer happening, let me know in the comments and subscribe to my channel for more weather information and content. Thanks for watching.